TiE Chats, hosted by Sunandini Verma, with today's special guest, Amr Abdelgawad.
Welcome everyone to our first ever TiE Chat from our Toronto division. I'm your host, Sunandini Verma, and on today's episode, we'll be connecting with Amr Abdelgawad, the COO of NERv Technologies and one of our TiE Quest finalists. Amr, thank you so much for chatting. I'm so excited to connect with you. First and foremost, I would love to learn more about NERv Technologies, and I want you to talk a little bit about the product to our listeners and why you think it's important.
Thanks a lot for having me here today. It's a pleasure to meet you, and it's a pleasure to be on board. For sure, it's been an interesting journey over the past 7.5 years. When we first started NERv, it was just a concept at the time, and it was a problem that was introduced to us by my co-founder's mother. My co-founder Yusuf, and the CEO was essentially going through his last year of undergrad, and he was trying to think of a project to work on for his final year design project. And at the time, Yusuf did not just want to work on a project and simply submit it and graduate. He wanted to work on something meaningful. So he was having a conversation with his mom, and she was telling him of the pains, anxiety, and worries that physicians, surgeons, patients, and their families tend to have after the surgery is completed. And these worries essentially stem around the fact that after the procedure itself, there's usually some concern that the patient might suffer from a complication after the surgery. And because of these complications, unfortunately, we end up losing tens, if not hundreds of thousands of lives every year, either because they go undetected altogether or because they're just not detected in a timely fashion. And for those patients that end up surviving the complication, their quality of life tends to drop. They can spend weeks, sometimes months inside of the hospital. So all in all, it seemed like that the way post-operative care is being dealt with right now is very reactive. And we wanted to change that model. Yusuf wanted to change that model at the time. He wanted it to be more of a proactive approach towards dealing with post-operative care. So at the time, this was back in 2014, Yusuf came and pitched me the idea. And immediately I decided that this was something that is worth pursuing, and that if we can hopefully have an impact on even one patient's life, then we would have done something meaningful and great. So I told him, you know what the hell? All I have to do is lose my degree at this point. Let's get started on this. So we looked at all different procedures, different complications that can arise from them, and essentially we decided to focus on one particular set of procedures, general surgeries, and one particular complication that can arise from these procedures, which in scientific terms is known as anastomotic leaks, or in general terms, the leakage of content from the GI tract into the abdominal cavity. So what the product does is it's essentially a sensing technology that augments existing tools that are used today as part of the standard of care. So in some of these procedures, they tend to use what is known as a wound drain, which extracts excess fluid in the abdominal cavity after the surgery. And our sensors go in line with those drains in order to analyze the nature of that fluid and alert physicians as soon as a problem happens. So they have real-time analysis, consider it to be a moving lab or a lab on a chip that goes with the patient for the period after the surgery until they fully recover, just to alert them as soon as a problem arises. And that's essentially the essence of the product and what we're working on.
That's really awesome. So you guys are doing some very impactful work, and that's really exciting. What made you want to work with Yusuf? Was it like his passion? What was it that for you personally that you said, yes, I'm going to take this leap and, not go the traditional route and really be a business owner essentially?
Yeah, so multiple factors actually. Yusuf, as a friend, as a colleague, is probably one of the best people that I've ever met in my life. And I'm not just saying that because he's my co-founder, but anyone who has seen Yusuf, has interacted with Yusuf, simply enjoys his presence. He just has a great personality, is very enjoyable to be around. So that was one of the main factors for sure. Another factor is when I was leaving Saudi Arabia, which is where I was born and raised. I remember meeting with one of my friend's fathers, and he essentially told me, "You're leaving Saudi Arabia. You're leaving the place where you grew, and you're representing us. You're representing your own religion, your background, your culture. Make sure that you go over there to Canada and do something meaningful and impactful that
Mhm.
represents us really well." So when Yusuf told me that story, of his mom who explained to him the problem, it became quite clear to me that this could be the opportunity for me to have an impact one day.
Mhm.
So the opportunity was presented to me at the time, and it just made sense for me to get involved. And at the time, I had nothing to lose except my degree, as I said, which would have made my parents very frustrated if it didn't work well.
Mhm.
But at the time, it just made sense for me to get involved.
So, on a day to day, as a business owner and a co founder, what does your life look like? Because I always hear people tell me how stressed it can be. So, what does your day to day look like? And how do you really deal with the stresses of being a co founder?
Yeah, so you're always wearing, I don't know, at least 10 different hats in one day. As chief operating officer, I tend to deal with multiple things, whether it has to do with the company's day-to-day operations, finance, business development, market access research, any aspects related to HR, accounting, legal. These are all my responsibilities, and obviously, business strategy is a very important one of them as one of the executives of the company. And when it comes to stress, yes, there's a lot of time where you feel like you're completely stressed and you're about to lose your mind. But I think the beauty of being in a startup and being one of a few co-founders is that we have each other to support one another, and we're always there to make sure that whenever someone is not feeling like everything's going well and that everything's going to fall apart, that there's someone else to speak to make sure that we're moving well and we're on the right track. So us as co-founders, we definitely support each other when it comes to stress, but we're also very lucky to have advisors who have walked down the same path before and have seen a startup succeed. And we're lucky to have those people to be able to speak to them whenever we have moments of doubt or we need to feel like there's some sort of reassurance that needs to be told to us in order to make sure that things are going to go well. So we've got each other and we've got external support, and obviously family tends to play a huge role as
Mhm.
well. So I'm very thankful for my family as well for their support.
Of course, solid backbone is crucial, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, of course, we're, talking about TiE and TiE Quest. So, how did you guys actually hear about TiE Quest and what was your journey like all the way from, I guess, 2017 to 2020? And what are your future endeavors with TiE?
Yeah, so I think we were first introduced to time back in 2017, 2016, if I'm not mistaken. And at the time, we had been around the block for a couple of years. So we were always involved with startup events. We were very much into networking, and we're well positioned within the ecosystem to know about the different opportunities. And I think TiE, being one of the most renowned institutions out there when it comes to startups, it just made sense for us, and it became clear to us that we needed to participate in TiE. So I think we applied for the first time in 2017. We didn't make it to the finals, applied again a year or two after, once again did not make it to the finals, and then finally in 2020 when we were selected to be as one of the top five. So it was a great journey overall, and 2020 was in particularly unique just because of us going through the pandemic. It
Mhm.
was great, honestly, to see a lot of startups still persevering and pushing through despite the struggles of the pandemic. And it was a crazy year for us, at least to say. We were starting our clinical trials. We were going through a fundraise. Things did not go as expected, for sure. We were very close to finalizing our seed round, and then there was a little bit of a hiccup when that weekend in March hit and affected
Mhm.
everyone. We had to restart the whole process. We were in the middle of clinical trials. We had to stop, and no one really knew what was going to happen next. But we took a step back. We took a breather, and we realized that we weren't the only ones who were being impacted, and that we need to continue going. A pandemic shouldn't stop us. So we went back, put our heads back to it, went back to the drawing board, made sure that we were focused on achieving our goals and what we had promised our investors at the time. And we went through it. We restarted our clinical trials. We were able to close our seed round. It took us a little bit more time and more effort, but it was essentially completed. And right now we are practically in the final stages of our traditional feasibility study, in which we have multiple institutions involved. So we have hospitals in Toronto, in Hamilton, in Cleveland, in the States, and soon enough we're launching in Saudi Arabia as well. And the results from these trials are looking very promising. So hopefully, if things continue to go well, then we should be launching our product in the next year or so.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned the pandemic. How did it impact you, of course, outside of the clinical trials, all of that? But as an entrepreneur, did you feel that, okay, we need to pivot? And of course, with the remote working culture, how did that impact your business specifically?
Yeah, there were definitely opportunities for us to pivot, and I'm not going to lie and say that we weren't sort of motivated to try to support the efforts in relieving healthcare workers and so on. We actually had a portion of our team focus on working on ventilators or improving ventilators
Mhm.
or providing some of them towards healthcare workers over here and patients. But slowly we started to see that a lot of companies were pushing towards that effort and trying to make an impact. And it also became evident to us that our work, in a way, is there to support patients, but probably in a different fashion or in a different sense from what was happening with the pandemic. So we decided to take a step back and focus on just developing our product and what we have been working on at NERv for many years, and that pivoting at the time into something else would prove to be a disaster for our company.
Mhm.
So after a couple of weeks of deliberation, we decided to continue down the same path that we were going down initially. In terms of pivoting from the way we were doing our day-to-day activities and work, obviously that changed, and we had to deal with the pandemic in a different way. We're still an R&D company, and we do require access to labs as well as workspace. So it was challenging initially to make sure that we have the team set up in a way to ensure that we're still capable of delivering on our milestones. At the time, we were operating out of the university, so we had the luxury of getting access to labs as well as offices. But unfortunately, with the pandemic, all of that was taken away from us. And us as an executive team, we had to figure out a solution for this. So we were able to set up our own workspace outside of the university. We got access to an office space and retrofitted another one into a lab, obviously while ensuring that everyone's working in a safe environment. We also had to make sure that our employees and our entire team felt like they had our support, and
Mhm.
that with the pandemic, no one was going to be let go, which was a fear, I guess, across all industries and with the entire workforce. So we were able to keep these thoughts in mind, and slowly we were able to get back up on our feet again, and things went well, and we're still going.
That's exciting. I think that, it's been such a learning component for everybody, like
Yep.
what's next. And I love that you went back to your, hey, this is the core of our business and this is what we want to do and focus on and stay true to that vision. Because to your point, a lot of people had that opportunity to change their business completely. And maybe that's what they needed to do, right? So
Yep.
it's been very interesting as an observer and some of these conversations that I'm having to see how each business decided to either stay en route or totally go a different direction and change the entire trajectory of their business. That's
Yep.
been interesting. So I guess as one of the finalists in 2020, what was that experience like for TiEquest to actually get there and be, top five? We've done it. Third time's a charm.
Exactly. So as you said, we went through it a couple of times, and the third time we actually managed to make it as one of the top five, which only speaks to the level of the competition. I think the companies that were presenting back in 2017, 2018, pretty sure 2019 and 2020 as well, all of them were absolutely fantastic. So it felt great to be able to be considered as one of the top five. And with every competition, we always keep in mind one thing. Yes, we want to obviously win the competition because
Mhm.
it would be great, But we always keep in mind that whenever we get into any competition, that the main goal is to essentially capture the audience's attention and win the audience rather than win the competition. Because a lot of these events, competitions, networking opportunities provide a ton of value in where you might be meeting someone who would be a potential partner in the future, and either an investor or someone that you might be working with. So we always keep those things in mind, and that's one of the things that we came out when it came to this competition. So we were absolutely honored to be one of the top five, and we're really happy to be able to make it finally in 2020.
Awesome. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years as a company, but also as a co-founder? So individually, but as NERv Technologies as well.
Yeah. So hopefully, let me maybe take a step back. In the last 7 years, we were focused on two aspects of the business: ideation and then product development.
Mhm.
The next 5 years is going to be a completely new beast that we've never tackled before, which is commercializing this product and going to market with it. So the next 5 years is going to probably be focused on that, and even developing other product lines that we have in mind and ideas that we wanted to develop. So it's going to be a completely new beast, a completely new area that we didn't have any prior experience in, which is going to make it really exciting. And us as co-founders, or me even personally, I'm going to be involved with the aspect of taking this product to market as part of the go-to-market strategy execution. So I'm very excited about that. I'm excited to see our product in the hands of surgeons being used to hopefully save patients' lives. And that's what we've been working on from day one. And it would be fantastic to finally see that come to life.
I'm sure that it'll be so, and much greater than you can ever expect as well. So if our
Hopefully.
listeners want to get in touch with you guys, what's your website? Where can they reach you? What's your LinkedIn? All of that fun stuff.
Yeah, definitely. They can reach to us through our website, nervtechnology.com. So that's NERv technology.com. There's a contact us page, so feel free to drop your email and information, and feel free to reach out. You can reach out to me personally as well on LinkedIn, Amr Abdelgawad, and we'd be more than happy to stay in touch with all of the listeners and to help out if anyone's thinking of starting up a new business or a new venture. I know it's always challenging, and we were lucky to have mentors and advisors every step of the way. And I know the impact that these mentors can have. And if myself or my co-founders can lend a hand in any way, we'd be more than happy to do that.
Thank you so much. That actually means a lot. I know that businesses are always looking for mentorship and any guidance, and especially on the go-to-market strategy side, or research and development, like where do you even begin? So that's super valuable. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for chatting with me. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I wish you guys all the best. If you have any other last questions or comments, I would love to hear them now. And thank you.
Thanks a lot for having us. Just wanted to say good luck to everyone out there who's pursuing a startup. I know it's challenging, but keep your head up. It takes a lot of persistence, but hopefully one day everyone will be successful in their own business or venture.
Thanks. Have a good day.